And we're live. Take number 2. I'm here with Andrew A. Drizzle.
What's up, man?
What up, kid?
You're one of the few people I've told my life story to twice, so.
I know. I was talking to Kyle when we were doing Kyle and Corin yesterday, and I was like, I'm nervous to do this again because it's like I had some like genuine reactions to like some of the answers that you gave last time. So like I've never been a fan of like redoing things just because I don't know if it's just me or what it is, but like I don't know, I feel I'm very like first take and let's get it done, you know, like it whether that's with anything. Like if I'm watching something and I miss it, it's almost just like I don't even want to go back and watch it. It's like if I missed it that first time, that authentic view, like that first shot, like, you know, although things get better when you do it a second time. So now, you know, I can, you know, maybe improve off of some of the questions that I was going to ask you. So we'll see. But to that point, so we recorded last week. We went for about 40 minutes or something like that. But as we were talking, and sorry for my dogs, I think my mother-in-law is getting home. But the computer was freezing a little bit. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, and first if you want to just introduce yourself and give a little background to yourself, and then I can explain sort of how we're connected, because usually when I do my chats, it's a friend or someone I went to high school with, or, you know, just a relative, someone that I've known, and I just got asked recently on Twitter if I'm going to start doing chats with just regular people that I don't know. And I think eventually I will, but I like to have a little basis of the person that I know, just because for me doing the interviews, it's tough. If I don't know too much about you, I'm not the best at maybe stringing along a conversation. Mm-hmm. But that long-winded intro, if you sort of want to just give a little background on yourself and maybe your thoughts on me or whatever like that, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, no problem. So I am obviously the guy that does the Secular Talk animations, soon to be the you know, the Corin one that, you know, I've been hyping up lately.
Mm-hmm. Which is great. I'm excited for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, so basically, I'm pretty much a self-taught animator. I was, you know, I always loved doing art and everything. As a kid, it was pretty much all I did. And then I was kind of like discovered to like animation toward my later college years, and that's something I wanted to explore further. So I kind of did it on my own. I'm like, you know, I left college with my crap. Like, I found the one thing that I like to do, and I want to explore more. But school's over, pretty much. So, you know, after that, you know, got some jobs, got some, you know, typical out of college jobs and stuff. But I always pursued, like doing my own animations and doing different ideas and different things that I could do. So I designed like the model that you guys obviously are all familiar with, the secular park model. Mm-hmm. Someone call it. So it's
actually a good name for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everyone. One of the first few comments you get is Secular Park. It's, you know, it's obviously the homage is there.
Yeah.
One of my inspirations. So basically, designed that model and tweaked them to like, you know, every, you know, different people and, you know, different people in pop culture and things like that. So did that, and yeah, just, you know, one day I'm at work and it's been a few years since I did that, and I was just like, I had ideas, like, and I didn't really execute on those ideas for whatever reason. I guess it was a lack of confidence. It could have been, you know, where do I want to start? So I found TYT obviously through, you know, new media and things like that, and then through that I found Kyle's channel and started watching him a lot more because I thought his way of describing or talking about politics was more interesting. Because it was no bullshit, pretty much. It's policy first is what he usually says. So, and, you know, he would say a lot of funny stuff, and, you know, he told a story about the first time he tried marijuana and how he's very paranoid. This was obviously around the 2016 election. So I thought, like, it'd be funny if, you know, what if you heard like Trump's voice as he was, you know, being paranoid from smoking, and then what if, you know, he keeps smoking and then like you would hear like Bernie's voice and stuff like, so that duality and stuff like that. So I started with that with the first episode, you know, sent a design to Kyle on Twitter, and, you know, he liked it, and then, you know, ever since then I just kept at it pretty much.
So you say, you know, so that was like your first video. So what really puts you over the edge to, one, try it with Kyle, and then two, like what eventually made you cross that barrier to do that animation? Because like the same thing with me and my channel, I would always think about it, and like I was always hopscotching if I was going to do it or not, and then just one day, for I don't know what it was, I think I was just like, let me start this channel. What do you think put you over the edge to really try that first animation?
I think it's because I was watching him every day.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Like he was so ingrained in like my politics. Pretty much, he was like my main source of news. And I thought like you learn a lot. What's interesting about new media is you really get to know the person as well. With like
100%.
With these TV networks, like I don't know who Jake Tapper is. I don't know anything about these people.
We know who Chris Cuomo is. He doesn't want to be called Frodo.
Exactly. We learned the bad side of that. I want to learn. I don't want anything to do with that nonsense.
No, but what's interesting, just not to break that up, but it's like when we see something like that, we're so amazed and we're so shocked because it's like we never see that side of him. We see almost like this fake persona that is on, I don't even know what network he's on, CNN or whatever.
Yeah.
But like we see this guy in a suit who's like supposedly just sitting there asking a question and just, this like higher being, and it's just like it has all the answers. So like when we do see him out of his element, getting called a name, we see this like Jersey Shore, like Guido-y like type of Italian guy really like getting aggressive, and you're like, whoa, where's the guy from CNN who just like is asking questions? Where to your point with Kyle, with David Pakman, with Jank or whatever, like we see all different sides of their personalities, so Kyle gets upset, you see it on air, he curses, he's more like, even Joe Rogan, like when we met Joe Rogan in person, it was exactly what he was on his podcast, and that's why people were like, yo, were you so amazed and like starstruck by Joe Rogan? And I was just like, not really. He was just an average, really cool, down to earth guy that a lot of these people on CNN or MSNBC is like, they put on this persona for the TV networks, and it's just fake, it's false, and it's like you don't really know who they are. So you make a great point where it's just like new media, you can just connect with people a lot better. Like me and you, like we're on the bottom tier of anything, but like there's people that are really passionate about your page, and they come to your live chats, and and they feel like there's a connection with you. You're talking with them on the live stream. Like people write to me in the comment section, just like, Corin, you're making a great video, and it's like, to me that stuff is awesome. And I think even as big as Kyle is, he still feels that from you or from other people. So sorry to interrupt you, but that's a great point you make about new media being relatable.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you look at these CNN anchors, like they're pretty much talking heads.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the word that's given to them mostly, and it's true. Like they read from a teleprompter. If they go off script, they get like they're like you should stop reading off the teleprompter. Like they're just talking heads.
Yep.
With Kyle, like obviously he might have like some talking points, but that's you see a lot of his personality through like what policies he agrees with and things like that. So I guess like go back to that first question is like pretty much like it's I learned a lot about him. Like obviously I don't know who he is and whatever. I don't have like a direct connection to him really, but it's his personality that really I guess really spoke to me, and it gives me more freedom as an animator with like the first episode. I think I ended with he was very stoned, and like he would reach for like oatmeal raisin cookies, and like that's something I wouldn't have learned through like anybody else. Like I learned through watching his stuff that the dude loves oatmeal raisin cookies, so that gave me like some creative freedom to be like, okay, he's high, like how am I going to end this, like what am I going to do next? Oh, he's high, he's probably going to be hungry, so he's going to reach for oatmeal raisin cookies as he's hearing Bernie's thoughts and stuff like that. So I think like that really inspired me to like to just jump in, because it's something that I did every day anyway. It's like I just give it a shot and see what happens, but I've been rocking with it ever since.
Yeah, and it's been great, and we'll get into it a little bit more with the Kyle and Corin animated, which I'm super excited to watch. I'm always in the live chats, and I just love and am fascinated by how and I've told you this last week, so it's like how detail oriented you are, and almost to like, does it ever, I I mean, I don't want it to like affect your work, but like, does it ever get to a point where you're just like, let me just cut a corner here because it's, this is taking too long or something? Like you seem like you're very like detailed on, like, I remember when you were putting like the McDonald's bags on my foot and tongue, and you were just like, the tongue doesn't look right, like, do you ever get inside your own head and just like, this is taking too long, let me move on?
This is kind of funny to bring this up now because right before we went live, I'm working on, there's like two aspects or two elements of the animation I have to do. I have to do the thumbnail, and there's like a final portion of the animation that's like, that needs to be done. And then I have to take all that into like Premiere and change up some audio stuff, and that's it, and I'll be done. But yeah, it's funny because I'm going back and forth with the thumbnail. I'm going back and forth with the end part of the animation. So it's like, at one point, I just want this to be done. I just want this to be done, and I'm kind of stressing about it because I'm like, oh, the thumbnail doesn't look that good. Like, this is not lining up that good. So I guess like this is kind of the first time I've ever experienced this with the Secular Talk animations. But I guess it happens. Like, as an artist, animator, whatever you want to call me, it's. I feel like you should be detail oriented if because you want it to mimic real life as much as possible. Like, with that whole scene with you balancing like all the McDonald's stuff and everything, it's like it wouldn't look right if it looked too stiff. I wanted it to look a little smooth, and your tongue, like, I didn't want it to look too long or too tiny or something like that, because I wanted just to balance the burger perfectly.
Yeah,
this sounds crazy, but it all makes sense when the animation is up. But yeah, I can definitely get in my own head, and I feel like I have been lately. But it's something I just have to like persevere and just be like, okay, this is good enough.
Now. Like, this Kyle and Corin seems like, I mean, this is the first real time that I think I've seen following your channel that you've really took us behind the curtains to see, how you do it. And, like, there's been a lot of build up for this episode, whereas the other ones you sort of just put them out at your own freedom and like people respond to it. Would you almost say like you're more nervous to put this one out because more people are anticipating it to be a certain type of way or anything like that, or you don't care regardless? Like, how are you with feedback? Because I know when I put out a video, it's almost just like I don't even like watching it, and it's just like like people write comments like, "Oh, that's great," and Molly will say, "Hey, watch it, it's great," and I'm just like, I'm sure it is, but like I don't know, I don't know if it's just insecurity in my videos or what it is, but like, I feel personally I got to overcome that barrier of just like watching my stuff, listening to my stuff. Can you watch your videos back?
Yeah, we like with the content you put out, being a content creator, I guess we could call ourselves, like we overanalyze everything. Like I feel like if we were to just look at our work and just take as long as we needed with it, like we would never put it out because it would never be satisfying to us. So there has to be a point where like it's good enough, and like you take those lessons to the next piece of content that you make, and that's kind of what I do as well, because the Secular Talk animations are actually the first animations I've ever done, like the full-fledged from like conception to like completion with audio that's decent and things like that. So watching the first animation is definitely cringe for me because I'm like, this sounds terrible. Like I feel like I could have done more. He's not moving as smoothly. He's falling like very slowly. It's like things like that. But by like the fourth one, I'm like, okay, this is getting good. No, I'm getting progressively better. But to go back to that point with the live streams, I did do the live stream for the sixth one, the Ann Coulter one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I pretty much like did that from like idea to completion through live stream. So I did a live stream where I pretty much wrote down the script. And everybody in the chat like give me suggestions, be like, oh, you should do this, we should do this, or whatever. Or while I'm producing it, like people are like, oh, it'd be cool if you did this. So I like that aspect, that interactivity with the live chats and everything. But with comments, like I'm not too upset by it. It doesn't really affect. Like maybe the first one I was like, oh, this person said it's cringe, or it's like. I love the comments that say like that think Kyle did the animations. I love those comments, and I'll just comment back like I'll let Kyle know what you think about it. So yeah, I think you just gotta get tough skin, especially with like my crap, because it's like something I've created for like, or it's been in the incubator for like months.
Yeah,
and like it can this one has been in the incubator for like about 2.5 months or so, and it's gonna be like probably a 2.5 minute animation. It's not long, but it takes a long time to do them.
Oh hell yeah, I can imagine. And you brought to my attention, like, you're not only creating the animation, like, you're doing the scripts, like, you're cutting the audios, and, like, so there's way more to it than just, the graphic designing. Like, you're also, like, a director, too, which is, like, sort of, interesting in a sense, too. Like, do you sort of see yourself as a director, too? Like you got to place the character here, and the setting's got to be in Kyle's workspace or something.
Yeah, I guess you could by definition. Like, I'm pretty much the the script writer, the designer, the animator.
I feel like there's not a lot of people that, like, I mean, and I'm not in this world. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe there are a lot of graphic animators that, like, but I feel like there's people who do graphic animations, but they also, like, probably couldn't build a script to it too. Is what you do sort of almost different than like just a individualized person just doing like graphicing or something for like EA Sports or something?
I guess it's mostly like a team. Like, if you watch like any animated movie, like, that's a team. Like, the script writer is not necessarily the animator.
Yep.
So the animator is not necessarily a script writer. So it's a team based venture pretty much. But I guess with me, like, obviously, like, I'm still in the beginning phases. I think. I guess you could say, like, eventually I might bring on an artist that I know, or someone to help me with the script, or help me with ideas and help me pump these out faster. But in the beginning, I guess, yeah, it's just, I'm just going to keep doing what I do, because I do enjoy every aspect of it. That's the awesome part. Like, I enjoy, like, after this Kyle and Corin, I'm going to jump right back into the next one and write another script for something. Like, I'm just going to jump right back into it. Like, I'm excited to do that whole process from beginning to end all over again. It might seem tedious to some people that are just watching, but I absolutely love doing it.
Yeah, I think you're really onto something doing the live stream with it, because I know personally, I've, like, granted I'm in the thing, but, like, if I wasn't, I still feel like a connection watching you almost build the building, and then, like, when the grand opening comes out, it's going to be like, oh, I remember seeing that scene, when we were in the live chat, and I remember Andrew saying, like, all right, should I put this here or this here, and it's like, there was a movie, The Other Guys, with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. I don't know if you remember it. They were, like, both cops.
Yeah, Other Guys, I remember that movie.
And there was one scene that they filmed, like, down the block from like, my dad's apartment in New York.
Oh, really?
And I remember waiting the whole movie just to see that scene, and it was, like, a 5-second scene of when, like, a building blew up. But, like, I still remember that movie to this day, because I remember now every time I drive past that building, I'm like, oh, that's where, I tell everybody, I'm like, that's where they filmed The Other Guys scene, like, so I'm sure everyone who comes to your live chat, like, feels a personal connection with you and remembers you talking about a certain scene or something like that. Like, is there any thought process behind that of, like, building a relationship with your audience? Like, because I think that's great that you do the live streaming and don't necessarily just, like, put out your content,
Yeah. No, like, I welcome people's feedback.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like, there's a part of the episode that's like, it's a YouTube comment section. It's a pan to a YouTube comment section, and obviously I could have just wrote down whatever comment I had, or comments I had for the icons and everything, but I asked the chat. I'm like, what would you guys put in this comment section? And I got a lot of good ideas, a lot of funny good ideas.
People are smart, man. Like people have great ideas, and it's the best when you can, like, bounce off your audience and actually give them what they want, and that's what TV doesn't do, because American Idol will say they have a relationship with your audience, like, oh, vote for this person, but, like, you don't have a direct link to, like, Ryan Seacrest or something like that to ask a question that you want. Like,
what I want to.
No. Yeah, nor would you want to. But no, I think the live streams are great. But I want to, like, back it up a little bit, and ask you what shows, like, growing up wise, did you, like, caught your attention, where there was certain cartoons, or getting into, like, more animated stuff, I don't know, like Toy Story or something like that, where it's, like, more, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but more digital. Mm-hmm. Is there it's, like, certain, like, a timeline of shows or stuff that caught your interest?
Yeah, I watched a lot of cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the '90s, so the Nicktoons craze was like huge for me. Like that's all I would watch right after school, Saturday mornings, like Rugrats, Doug, like everything, Ariel Monsters, all that stuff. But in terms of ones that really inspired me, there's a few that come to mind. They're ones that really positively affected me and negatively, as like I don't Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say something nice about it, but it physically made me ill looking at that art stuff for whatever reason as a kid. I just looked at like the noises they made. I'm like, I feel kind of sick, and I don't know if it was like some subconsciously, like maybe around when I was a kid, like I was ill one time, and then I saw them, and I always associated them with like being sick.
That's how I am with funnel cake at carnivals. I mean, they could be phenomenal, but for some reason I can never touch another funnel cake at a carnival.
Yeah. So it could have been something like that, but ones that really inspired me there was one.
Wait, so sorry, back it up. You're not in on Beavis and Butthead? That's like one of the all-time great. Like, I mean, I love the show. I hated when they did the stupid like metal rock shit in the middle of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, I don't think I really ever watched one. I think I saw parts of it when they were like, and I was like, they look gross. They're making gross sounds. Like, I'm just gonna put on freaking Rugrats right now because Rugrats is more entertaining.
And to be fair, Beavis and Butthead I feel like might have been a little bit before the '90s time too. So like you probably were catching it at the tail end. But like I think a lot of people from the '80s will have some beef with you talking smack about Beavis and Butthead.
and that's fine, man. Maybe if I went back and actually checked that out, I'd have a more appreciation for Beavis and Butthead. But who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, to go back to ones that inspired me, there was one called Kablam. It was on Nickelodeon. Mm-hmm. I think it was like every Friday night. And it not only did it like really interest me, but it kind of it was a unique show where like they had like two hosts that like were in a comic book and they kind of broke the fourth wall and kind of did wacky things and everything. But it also was a show that they had different sub shows within the main show pretty much. So the main show was like about two people, Henry and June, and then they would introduce other shows that like did like stop motion animation, which is like pretty much taking an action figure and moving it, taking a picture for every movement. They would do claymation, which is the same thing, and different mediums like that. So it introduced me to like, holy crap! Like it's not just drawing. It's like using clay. It's using an action figure. It's doing different things. So that show was a huge inspiration to me. I started drawing my own comics with like my own stories as well, like with Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny, which are everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
So I started doing stuff like that. And then there was a show on Fox Kids. It was it introduced me to like superheroes as well. So it was Spiderman the animated series. It introduced me to like superheroes, and the show was so well made as a kid. And it also like cartoons nowadays, they're kind of tame. Some of them, they're not as like.
Are there even cartoons still? Like the only cartoons I see on like Sunday morning or Saturday morning are like real young stuff that like my daughter would watch. Is just like Daniel Tiger or something like that. Like
yeah, there's stuff obviously made for little kids, but it's I guess what I'm talking about is like the themes. Like the themes aren't really adult. They're just kind of like just kids being kids or something. Like even Rugrats had like pretty unique theme, like very adult themes.
Yeah.
But I guess with this show, it was kind of adult for its time, but not too adult. It still didn't like show blood or anything like that. But the Spider-Man show pretty much showed me like how you could make a series, like how you can make a narrative with cartoons. Like so this character introduced in like episode 1 would later be reintroduced in like episode 10 or something, and like give him like an arc. So like whatever he did in episode 1, he would learn, do something villainous or whatever the case may be. And then episode 5, he's like, okay, I'm in jail right now. I need to figure out how to beat Spider-Man. I need to figure out, a new plan or something. And then like he would grow. And then by episode like 20, he'd come back like even more like savage or something like that, or even more of as a joke. So that show really showed me that you could take like characters and really like have them like change over time, which is what I'm trying to do with the Secular Talk series and other series going forward. Right
yeah,
now.
What do you think that is? Because now that you say that, it's like, I mean, even like a show like the Rugrats, there was no progression. So you knew in episode, season 8, Tommy was still going to be, in his blue shirt, in his diapers, in the same age, whereas like you're talking about a Spider-Man where like you can actually see, you know, like the growth of a character, almost like a real life like HBO series or something like that. Like you connected with that stuff a little bit more than, you know, shows where just the character would just stay the same throughout the whole series.
In a way, yes. I guess with Rugrats, I was observing like different animation styles and like how does it look and everything. How do the babies move and everything like that. But yeah, you're right. They're not. There's not really a story in Rugrats per se. It's kind of like it's kind of like a show that could happen within a week. Like
Yeah.
everything you just saw like happen within like 30 minutes or an hour, and then like next week's episode is something that happened the next hour or something like that. So yeah, I definitely related more to like more storytelling. I guess because Spider-Man came out a little bit later, I got a little older, and Rugrats I was just kind of like as a kid and like enjoying it. But the you bring up like the fact that he, you know, they always wear the same outfits. I always thought that as a kid, like why is he wearing the same thing? And then I saw like there was like a Nick Toons like interview with the creators, and they were talking about there was like a kid asked a question to like I think. The kid asked like the question on like a show or something, like why do they always look the same or something, and like the creators essentially said more or less like, oh, because we would have to change, it'd be more work because then we have to change the character every episode. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. It makes sense now because like I'm deep within it, but like yeah, if I had to change like a character for every episode, the Rugrats went on for like hundreds of episodes. So that's hundreds of different designs. So like whenever you saw a character with like a new design, like if they went to church or something, like Tommy's like all with like a
little baby suit on.
Yeah, like a baby tux or something. It's like, oh, like this is refreshing. He actually has a new outfit. But I guess it does make sense that, you know, they wouldn't change their outfits every time because that'd be a lot more work. So how do you almost have to like, you know, make it interesting, make it, you know, still appeal to people when every one of your secular talks, you know, Kyle's wearing the same thing, or like, you know, the 2-minute thing, I'm going to be wearing the same thing. Like what do you try to think of to do different? Like, do you really have to build that much more on the script to make it better or something like that? I guess because I have well, especially with your model, but I've had Kyle's model for a while, and I like to change it with Kyle's outfit because like I like to do one-to-one to the segment. So whatever segment I use, I like to use his outfit, whether he's wearing glasses or like a different color shirt or a different color suit or whatever. So like that doesn't take too much time because I have the basis model, so I can just add to it. That's easy. So it is good. Like when I did Kyle and Corin, I'm like, okay, what do I need? I have Kyle. Kyle's done. I don't need to worry about that. But then I had to do Wolf. I had to do you. And then I had to do like the backgrounds and everything. So all the other elements, I guess, would take more time because that's like part of the I have to take that from the storyboard. Like, what does a storyboard require? Does it require like a computer screen, like a different view of a computer screen, or how many like different views and everything like that? So I guess with because it's more political, it's always interesting. It's always like different and refreshing because he talks about so many different things. I literally have a folder of ideas for Secular Talk episodes. I literally have like 400 different segments that came to mind. Like when I watched the segment, I'm like, oh, this is something good. Let me screenshot and save it. I could go back and be like, oh, this is a piece of crap. Why did I think this was a good idea? But this is what I tried to do with the segment. I tried to focus it on one segment instead of like blending like 5 different ones because I think the core message would be scattered, you know, versus like being more focused on like just one segment about like whatever politician or commentator.
Yeah. Is there any certain like politics story that you're more interested in? Like, when did you really get interested in politics? Like you said that you started following TYT during like the 2016 election, but like, is there something that like, have you always been interested in politics, and like, you know, what drew you to politics?
I guess it was like for a lot of young people, it was Obama. It was Obama. When he first ran, when he ran against McCain. I was in college and I had just like put on CNN, and I'm like, oh, you know, it's this Obama guy, whatever. And like he was talking. That was like the first time I heard a politician talk about like issues that affected me. Like he talked about student loans. He talked about, you know, I don't even know if he talked about legalizing marijuana.
Well, healthcare was a big thing for me when he did Obamacare. Like because when I graduated, I didn't have a job, and I was still able to be on like my parents' health care, which was huge. Like so that was something for me. I don't know if that affected you also.
Yeah. I was also on my parents' health care at the time, so it wasn't like that big of an issue because I guess I didn't really like understand like how does healthcare really work back then because I was in college and trying to whatever. But yeah, he pretty much spoke to ideas that affected young people. Like you never heard McCain talk about that, and this was just coming from like George Bush and all this shit. Like obviously I was aware of what was going on, the Twin Towers and everything. So like I guess the country was in a very anti-war sentiment around that time. So I guess like I didn't really research him too much. I guess that was a time where like I'm just kind of like listening to him and like hearing what he has to say that affects like my everyday life and things that can make like our life better and obviously get away from war and all that kind of stuff that Bush did, which is kind of what McCain ran on. So I guess it was definitely Obama. And then like years later, like I found like independent media, and then I stopped watching CNN. I would watch a lot of CNN back then, unfortunately. Really? But it wasn't as insufferable, I guess, as it was then because I have more context of like what CNN's real motives are and all that kind of stuff. Dude, thanks mostly to like independent media opening my eyes, really.
And so, what's your nationality? I know you told me last time. Colombian, right?
I'm Hispanic. Yeah, my parents were born in Colombia, but I was born here. Yeah.
Okay, so like how was? You ever been to Colombia? Because I used to go to Medellin. Mm-hmm. And with my brother, and I loved it there. And I think like Colombians are awesome. I think the culture is great. Are you a good dancer?
I try to.
Okay.
I want to take salsa lessons.
Yeah.
I have the basis understanding of like bachata and stuff like that, but salsa is like another thing where it's like, holy, like, how are you moving this fast? Like it's crazy.
It's hard, man.
Yeah, it's very hard. But yeah, I was actually in Colombia last year. A year ago in June, I think I saw a cousin. Mm-hmm. It's a great country, man. It's a really great country. There's obviously a lot of like dark shit.
Yeah.
Kidnappings and drugs and all that crap. But
are you into the whole Pablo Escobar stuff? Like, have you watched all the Narcos seasons and all those?
I did watch Narcos, and I highly recommend if anyone wants a show to watch on Netflix, you watch Narcos.
Is it good?
Seasons are amazing. The third is okay. The fourth is a little, is always all right. But the first two are spectacular.
Did the fourth or third take place in Mexico or something like that? And like someone like got actually like the director got killed or something like that? I heard.
I think somebody, not the director, I think somebody on the crew got killed. I think for the fourth season. I don't know the details too much, but yeah, he pretty much got killed by the cartel because
Jesus.
They found out that they were doing a documentary essentially on them. So
that was like the first question that everybody asked me when I went to Colombia was just like, oh, like did you see like mad drugs and all this stuff? And I was like, no, like it's not like that anymore. Like it's like like once Pablo Escobar left Colombia, like it sort of got like cleaned up and like there was a lot more. I don't know, like structure, political. I mean, they still spoke a lot, just a lot of corruption in like their political system. But then, as they were telling us, they were like, "Yeah, but you're from the U.S., where it's way more corrupt and like way more dirty shit's going down." But you don't think about that.
Every country has their shit, and
exactly.
And it's funny, like the third season of Narcos pretty much talks about what happens after Escobar. Spoilers, like he dies.
Yeah.
But it talks about the Cali cartel, which is essentially like what rose up after Escobar, and then the fourth season is the Mexican cartel and everything. Once the Cali cartel went down, it's about the Mexican cartel, which are they're still a big thing. So I'm interested to see where they take that. But what's crazy about Escobar is I think my parents I think they left Colombia right before all that nonsense with Escobar happened. Like there was a lot of shit
like before he really rose into power.
Before he started bombing shit.
Oh, okay.
All these cops would be killed by things like that. So they left the country, at a great time. But Colombia gets a bad rap because automatically it's like drug dealer.
Yeah.
It's funny because my dad, he used to pick me up from school and he would wear like a gold suit. He's a realtor.
He'd pick you up in a gold suit? That's pretty gangster.
Gold suit. He had like white flowing hair really early when he was younger. And, everyone thought like he was my grandpa. And he's like, what do you guys sell drugs or something? Like automatically, like right there.
I mean, he's not making it easy on you guys, like to pick you up in a gold suit and have slick back white hair and be like,
Yeah. But Colombia is definitely a great area. The people, like Hispanic people, are very friendly. Like
Yeah.
if you're in the right areas, like Hispanic people are like some of the friendliest people.
100%, and that's something that I've noticed about like you as well. Is just like you're very friendly, like open to talk to people, welcoming, like and that was something that like a lot of people don't really have that like attribute to them, and Hispanics, like that's something that I've always admired about them. Is just like they're always very warm, always willing to just invite somebody into their home and hey have a beer, or like just as poor of a country as sometimes like in certain spots of Colombia and like Dominican Republic I've been to, like the attitude of just like the Hispanic people is just so positive, and it's like you can never even tell that like they might not have like food the next day or whatnot, and like that's something I really admire about them, and not in your case, but like for you, I think you have just like a great just a positive vibe, and it was always whatever the comment might be, someone might write or something like that, you'll laugh at it or something, and that's something that's it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. We're like Hispanic people are very hospitable,
Mm-hmm.
very hospitable. They will talk to you like they've known you forever. You could be a stranger and you could just talk like I've known you forever, and that's what I try to do. Obviously, it has to do with parenting and everything, but really it has to do with like there was a moment. I moved around a few times when I was a kid. I grew up in Lodi. Don't remember much of it because I was very young.
What's Lodi?
Lodi in Jersey, yeah.
Is that the name of the town?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'd never even heard of Lodi.
Yeah. It's it's a regular ass town, but
Uh-huh.
I pretty much grew up there, and then I moved to a new town, and I had to start a new school. I had to start 8th grade, and growing up in Lodi, I went to school. I met a lot of people, and like I was like the class clown as a kid. Like I would like make fun of the teachers, and I would get a laugh from everybody and things like that. But when you move to a new town, nobody knows who you are. And obviously in your 8th grade, like I didn't really grow into myself like at that stage yet. I was still like I was like the shortest kid in the class. I was like the skinniest kid, whereas like all the girls were like growing themselves. Some of the dudes were big and everything like that. So it took some getting used to. But I met someone at that moment who kind of threw out his hand at me. He's like, hey, how you doing? You want to hang out with us for lunch? And like that, meeting him. His name was John Smith, by the way. Like his name is actually John Smith.
Mad generic.
Super generic, but he's super nice guy. I guess he helped me get out of my shell, really, because like I was just like I don't know anybody, I don't know anything. I'm the shortest kid here. Like there was some stages of like depression at that moment, but like I had such great parents like that. They really like I had a good system. Like obviously I got along with my younger brother and things like that. So. It was never like something that really got me down. Like obviously I would go to school and hang out with John and have lunch with him, and then we're still friends to this day. So
do you find like that the YouTube helps get you out of your shell a little bit? Because I'm torn about it, because it's like you're connected to so many people, and you have such a reach by like putting out a tweet and like all these people that follow you and your subscribers and all this stuff. But in reality, like you're not really talking face to them, so like me and you, we've tweeted back and forth and like joked about certain things, but like never really had an opportunity like this to like sit down and talk face to face, whether it's over the computer with someone. But like it made me think like, oh man, I've known him for so long, but I don't even really know him,
Mm-hmm.
So like
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps or hurts people, because like I mean, like Kyle's got a huge reach too, but like in reality, he's never really spoken face to face with one of those people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it was pretty apparent to him when he went to Politicon.
Yeah.
I was actually at Politicon.
Were you in California?
Yeah, I was there. I wanted to say what's up to Kyle, and I didn't see you,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw like this huge horde of people.
Oh, it was a swarm, dude. It was crazy.
So I was like, okay, I'll let him do this thing. I'll check out more of the debates and everything. I wanted to say what's up, but I actually didn't get a chance to.
Are you going to go this year to Nashville?
Yeah, it's in Tennessee this year, right?
Yeah, I think in Nashville. Nashville's in.
That's a weird look. Yeah, that's quite a change from Cali. But I'm not too sure if I'm gonna go this year. I might.
You should definitely go, because I feel like people would recognize you now, and it'd be cool for you to like people were coming up to me, and this was when like I mean like me and Kyle had just done Kyle and Corin's, and they were like, one guy was like, his wife came up to me and was like, my husband's such a huge fan of yours, and I was like looking over my shoulder, like, who? Like me? And no, it was a cool feeling. So I mean, if you went out to all the way to LA, you should definitely go down to Tennessee or wherever the fuck it is this year.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it might be in the cards. I didn't know it was in Tennessee this year. I assume it would be in Cali, but it is.
No, yeah, they moved it.
Travel distance now, so maybe.
Yeah. How are you with, have you seen growth of your channel, like through, I know I've been very fortunate that, Kyle being my boy since middle school and doing Kyle and Corin and, starting my channel and having him retweet stuff, which helps immensely.
Yeah.
Have you seen growth from your channel? Are you like conscious of that? Because I'm very conscious of like my subscribers, and I know one of your listeners, I think it's like Elevator of Hell or something like that, always will fuck around with me and say like,
shout out to him,
yeah, shout out to Elevator of Hell. He'll be like, I'm unsubscribing tonight or something like that. And like, I'm very conscious of like my subscribers. So recently, like a lot went down, and Molly read up on it and was just like, there's bots that sometimes you two go in and like clear it out. But like, I got to get out of that mindset of like subscribe, and I got to just do the shit. Mm-hmm. Like you almost, I feel like you do, is like you work a full day, I think, and then you come home and you still animate till late at night. Like, are you conscious of the growth of your channel? Like, do you almost have like a business strategy of like your channel, or is it just like, I'm going to do my shit and see where it takes me?
Pretty much that. I'm just gonna keep doing it. Like, I would say to you, and I guess like anybody else trying to grow a YouTube channel, don't even look at subscribers.
Yeah.
Like, don't even look at it. Don't look at views. Don't look at likes and dislikes. Just put stuff out and see what sticks. That's what I'm trying to do. But I don't. I see growth with the channel. Obviously, mostly when Kyle retweets the stuff or mentions it, or even when you guys like mention on Kyle and Corin, I think one time last year I came back from vacation after like Thanksgiving or something, and I said on Twitter like, oh, what did I miss? And like everyone's like, oh, you got a shout out from Colin Corin, and I looked at my subscriber and like, oh, it went up by like 200. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess they
shit. We gotta stop doing that, man. Just kidding.
No, it's super cool that you guys do that. I really appreciate that, but I don't see too much growth with like the process of like creating it. Really, like maybe one or two like every couple days or every couple weeks or something. Mostly when I release something, because I feel like some people they kind of want to see the end result. They don't really want to see the process, and I understand that. Like, so that's kind of a thing. I'm just gonna just keep doing the live streams, and even though it gets like like 50, like even you have to think about it this way. Like my lowest, I think the lowest amount I get for like a live stream is probably like around like maybe 30, 40, 50. But you still have to think about it this way. There's still like even if it was 5 people, there's still 5 people out there who gave a shit to like watch.
It's fascinating, right?
Like, that's super cool. Like numbers really shouldn't matter, especially in the beginning phases.
I totally agree with you on that. I think it's so cool that someone's interested in what you're doing, and it's just like when I do Sports Buffet with Matt, there were 2 people that asked a question last week, and I was like, you asked a question, I'm going to send you something, just like I have so much shit in my basement, like sports stuff, and like they wrote a note like, thank you, like it's great, and I was just like, like fucking thank you, like, like it's amazing that people are interested in what we're interested in, because it's like it makes you, it validates the stuff that you're interested in or whatnot, like, so for you it's just like you're not on an island thinking you're the only person that likes to, animate stuff. There's other people that are interested in it. And I never thought I was until I started actually seeing how passionate you were about it and stuff like that. So, like, there is, like, an art within your art, if that makes sense,
Right, yeah. Yeah, everyone has a story. Everyone has, like, something to tell. Like, everyone's unique. So you might think that your travel vlogs aren't that interesting, but there are people out there that'll be like, oh, I want to know what Corin's doing. I want to know more about wherever you're going. Maybe I'm going on a trip or something, and I want to get your advice. So like what do I do? Like, whatever. It's just like so many different scenarios.
Yeah.
That can play through. So like I definitely recommend like anybody really to start a YouTube channel. Like whatever your niche is, like whatever your niche is going into, it might not necessarily be the niche that you end up with. Because like I started YouTube like probably 5-6 years ago or something, and I started out with like gaming. Like I had a passion for gaming at the time, and I would play games and something, but that I wasn't really, it's not necessarily like the views and the attention. Like I got some attention, but it was more like I'm not that interested in this anymore. Like I don't know, it's not not really feeling it. I'm not having fun with the process of like gaming with like a microphone in my face and everything. Like, so it eventually made its way to like animation. Now I'm like thinking about doing like animations about gaming. So like I guess I can kind of do the both.
Bring those worlds back together, yeah.
Yeah, and then like obviously try and grow on Twitch. Like use Twitch as a platform now because Twitch is hella important. There's a lot of people on Twitch. Also like for not just for gaming, for like art and stuff. So,
yeah, that's what I want to ask you. Like what other like hobbies or stuff that you're interested in? Because I always see you tweeting about and something I want to ask you about is like the new Spiderman Sony thing. I have no idea what's going on, but I see everybody tweeting and writing about that. Like supposedly someone fucked up somewhere and something's not happening. But like, how do you? What are you interested in? How do you keep up with information? I know you've been to a couple gaming shows and stuff like that, but like, what are you interested outside of just the animation world?
This might be an interesting topic for us because I know you're a big sports guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess I'm not too interested in sports. I watch some soccer, like the World Cup. I did watch some baseball, some Yankees back in the day. Then I found out like most of the players were like juicing, and like for some reason as a kid, I'm like, that's cheating. I don't like that. So yeah, I'm more of I like watching esports, which is pretty much like competitive, like people competitively playing games and stuff like that. I really enjoy that.
Is that like soccer esports, or because I know like the NBA has the NBA 2K League, and that's on Twitch?
No, not like esports in terms of like I guess like fighting games and watching people compete in that field. Not watching people play sport, but like watching people compete essentially.
So like Mortal Kombat or something like that? Like
yes, like Mortal Kombat. There'll be like a tournament, like a 300-man tournament or whatever in Vegas or something, and you'll get like pro. Obviously, there's like pros. There's like people that do this for a living. So like those people are always gonna get like the top placings and everything, and then you're gonna get like all the weebs and everybody like me who try and compete. Like, oh, I'm gonna do my best and whatever. So yeah.
So have you competed in tournaments like that?
I have competed in tournaments like that.
And what is it, like at a mall or something like that? And they just have like it's like at a mall, and they just have like 1 million PlayStations set up.
It could be anywhere really. Like they could have it at a warehouse that just like has a bunch of setups. They could do it at the mall with like a game shop that has like a bunch of setups, like a little local one. They could do it at like they have one called Evo every year in Vegas. So they have that's like the Super Bowl of like FGC esports, things like that.
That's crazy because I just saw recently. I guess it was Fortnite had their like championships at in Queens, I think it was, where like the U.S. Open tennis tournament is, and the stadium was sold out, and all this kid was doing was sitting in like a little cubicle inside of like a suite, and had a screen. Yeah, had his headphones on, had a screen in front of him, but literally there must have been like 40,000 people there. And I didn't even know, like, how do you even watch that shit? Like, how... And again, I'm not in this world. I don't know anything about it. How is that stuff interesting? And how does that not translate to you being interested in, like, UFC or something like that, where people are actually fighting?
Yeah, I guess you could bring it back to, first of all, Fortnite is huge.
Uh-huh.
Like, I've played it, like, maybe a few times, and it's not for me, really. But people love that shit.
It's like crack to little kids.
I guess you could also compare it to sports in that way. It's like, why do you like watching someone play football when you could just go play football?
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're watching like the best of the best, essentially. And with what's great about Twitch is like you could watch the best of the best, or you could watch someone like me who's, I guess, average on a game or whatever, and interact in that way. So it's kind of like you could do like both with either.
So what games did you grow up on? What were your systems of choice? Like what was your progression of systems?
I think the first system I ever got was the Super Nintendo.
Okay, that was the gray with the purple button, like the purple sliders, right?
Purple, and eventually it would turn yellow for whatever reason. Like the top half would turn yellow.
Oh yeah. It definitely had its grimy stages if it was out for a while.
Yeah. But I guess why I like watching that stuff is like I had a younger brother, 2 years apart, and we played a game called Smash Brothers on Nintendo 64.
Classic.
That shit stuck with me, man. Like me and him, we loved fighting each other for hours playing that, and we would get really good at it because we would only fight each other, and then eventually, like, I'd have all my friends come over to my house after school, and like it would be like I remember this, like, it'd be like a crazy. It was like a 4-player game. You play 4 people, and then you would have like a group of people behind you all cheering like for this person to win or this person to lose and everything. It was so crazy. And I guess it just stuck with me. Like, I liked controlling an avatar essentially, and learning how to control it, learning how to move, learning how to do everything, and that just stuck with me. Like, I like to this day I still like go to the tourneys for that same game. Like, obviously it's not the same iterations, like the 5th one or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love. I guess it goes back to also my love of learning something, because I guess with a game like that, or like a fighting game, like, you're always learning something. It's not something that's like just repetitious. It's like more like you're learning this aspect of the character. Oh, you can do this stuff now, or you can do this stuff. So it's like a progression. So I guess that's why I enjoy watching it and playing it so much.
And it's animated too, which is in your wheelhouse. You know, like, it's not, you know, that's what you're doing. Have you ever thought of whether it was, well, did you think when you were a kid that there could be like a potential career in, you know, cartooning or, you know, graphic animating or something like that? Was that ever on your radar?
In terms of like gaming, or in terms of like just in general what I'm doing?
Like, yeah, in general what you're doing. Like, because when I was a kid, I always thought like people who drew, like, they could just be like an artist, you know, and they would put stuff in a museum, but never really equated that with like being a director of a Pixar movie or something like that. I feel like there's so many more avenues now for people who are like interested in your field. When you were younger, did you ever think that was an option to do something as a full-time job? And has it changed now, being that there are so many like positions like that are probably available?
I guess as a kid you kind of have like crazy expectations, like you want to be an astronaut or something. I think at one point, like for a long time, I wanted to be a Yankee player, play for the Yankees, because I liked watching the Yankees at the time.
Yep.
And then eventually I grew out of it. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And obviously gaming was huge when I was a kid, so I would think like, oh, let me do this for a job. But then you learn about like the industry and the ins and outs of it, and how it's very crunchy. It's like almost 80-hour work weeks and things like that. Don't really speak to me too much. So, but no, with the animating, like I would do, like, obviously, like I said before, like comics and stuff like that. I never really thought, like, I guess in the back of my head, I'm like, this is what I want to do, and I guess I've kept up with it like since today. So, I don't, like, obviously I have another job, like we were saying before. I have a job, and then I come back. I like to be physically active, so I go to the gym, and then after that, like, I'll shower, I gotta eat, gotta prep the meals for tomorrow, whatever, and then I'll animate and stuff. So it's kind of like my happy place, pretty much. Like, I'll work and I'll be like, oh, I just want to go home and I want to animate Corin balancing a fucking bird. Like, that's all I want to do right now.
So you're thinking about me at work? All right, cool.
Animated you.
Yeah. Oh, that's even worse. No, no, but I think that's cool, and like, I mean, maybe you have a great job, maybe you love it, but I think with you, and like, I start to think it sometimes too, is like, is there going to be a point where it's just like, I enjoy this so much more that you take a leap and do that full time, and whether it's like your channel grows to a big enough spot where you can do that, but like, that's the route where a lot of people are going now, where YouTube or someone like Twitch gives you that opportunity to like be your own employer and actually do your own stuff, and as you grow, people will be more willing to help you. You can bring on an intern or something like that. Like, I think it's great. Is there more? Do you have any other plans outside of like Secular Talk to maybe do like a different character and start maybe your own comic for just in a totally different realm?
Yeah, like doing my own unique thing.
Yeah.
No basis in like superheroes or
anything. Yeah.
Political commentators. I have been thinking about that. I don't necessarily have an idea in mind. I would have to like sit and think about it, because I've been so ingrained in like all these different like ideas for Secular Talk, for Colin Corin, for animations about the gaming industry, because I have a few gaming animations up. I want to do a story time animation, because that's a pretty big avenue on YouTube. That's if you look up YouTube animation, like stories.
Yeah, you were telling me about that last time, and I started seeing, I guess sports does that a little bit too. Like, they'll have a guy narrating, and then it'll show like a young Larry Bird walking into a gym or something like that, like a cartoon Larry Bird, and he'll be shooting as like the guy is saying like he shot 3,000 times a day, and I think that's sort of what you're talking about.
Yeah, like I could essentially tell a story about the worst internship I had, which is kind of a funny story. I could like my little avatar would narrate it, and then like it would pan to like different scenes of New York, like illustrating like the story that he's telling essentially.
I feel like that could almost be easier for in a sense too, because you don't have to like match up the words to the mouth or anything like that. Like all you have to do is record your talking and then just do the graphics.
Right, and like the only parts I would have to do for the mouth would be like when I pan back to like the character illustrating it. So that would be like a quick little thing, and then it'd be more visual. It wouldn't be very talking, because that is like the most tedious thing of like doing animations is the mouth movement.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I want to make it look as realistic as possible. I don't want to do because some animations they just do like open close mouth. Like you could be saying this, you could be saying something with an R, but your mouth will still be like open up, like it's nothing.
Isn't
like
that sort of how South Park does it? Like they don't really match up their lips, do they?
Yeah,
they do. Okay.
If you notice closely, like when he says the, like you'll see like his tongue's out. Like,
they really do it that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
now you mentioned that people will say like secular Park a little bit. Like, did South Park ever have a huge influence on you when you were younger? Because that to me. That and like The Simpsons. Well, actually, Family Guy was the first one for me that really caught my eye with like the animations. I never really got into The Simpsons that much. There was like an old school Simpsons like VHS. I think it was like a Christmas edition where like I just remember the dog. I don't remember the dog's name in The Simpsons, but like he like had one of those like those Christmassy hats on or something, and it was just like a VHS that I had in my house that we always used to watch. But outside of that, I never really watched The Simpsons. So Family Guy was really. I'm trying to think of any other staple like animations that really caught my attention.
Did you watch Ninja Turtles?
I wasn't really into Ninja Turtles that much. I played the video game, like the arcade game.
Yeah.
I was big into that, but like, I hated Gargoyles. You remember the show Gargoyles?
I do, yeah.
That shit to me sucked. It was just like dreary, and like it was like bats and like these flying things that I had no interest in. But Family Guy was the first one that to me was like hilarious. It was bright colors, and it was just an all around great show. And then from that, I sort of got into South Park a little bit, but like I feel like everybody else, it was South Park and then Family Guy. But for me, it was Family Guy then South Park. Did South Park relate to you?
I think for me it was Simpsons as a kid, and Family Guy later on, and then it was South Park like when I was older, because I know early South Park is very crude humor. It's like a lot of fart jokes and stuff like that. Whereas lately they've been topical, which was smart for them to take that route, because I think it gets more interesting. You know, it's more relatable.
Yep.
But yeah, South Park, like watching it like as an adult, was kind of like, this is a very simplistic art style, but they're telling such a like nobody really calls out South Park for its like I don't want to say shitty animation, but very basic animation. Nobody really calls that out, and I find that interesting.
Well, just how like the characters walk, like just very like.
They have no walk cycle. They're little, like bopping around. Like,
yeah.
That's a unique choice. I guess people don't call that out because it's like they just love what the message is and what the characters are saying versus what they're doing.
I think that also is what makes South Park South Park. You know, like there's just a simplicity to it that people enjoy. You know, or it's just they're not overthinking it, and you know they're taking it back to like when Trey Stone and was it Matt Parker or something like that. Like are just two guys, and you know they're authentic small town guys, and like they haven't really been corrupted, and the reason people like South Park is because it's just raw like that, you know. And once you start, I feel like these big budget films, and like when people pour so much money into something, and they, you know, that's when people lose interest, you know, because it's just like this isn't authentic. It's just like a big budget film, and you know these people are overpaid, and you don't enjoy it as much. Whereas South Park, you almost feel like when they pulled behind the curtains, I think on Comedy Central one time, and you just saw them sitting around a table, like shooting the shit, talking about what they're gonna do, and then literally they just like draw it out and do it. Where it's almost like I respected that because it was just like, oh, I could do that if I was a graphic designer, you know?
Yeah, watching South Park. I obviously I grew up with The Lion King. Those are two completely different styles. Like trying to do something like The Lion King is you need a team for that. Like,
hell yeah!
You never get an animation out if you did that on your own. So I guess I was kind of looking at South Park and I was looking at The Lion King. There's two different like spectrums of it. Like, you could go hand drawn, like literally every frame of that movie is hand drawn.
Yep.
Like, you could be clapping, like you have to draw every movement, like your head's doing it. It's crazy.
It's wild.
So I thought about it with my style. Like, I don't want to really do that. Like, that's very time consuming. I want more people to like focus on like what is happening versus like how it looks. So I guess I took South Park. I'm like, it's very simplistic. Let me try to do an homage to it essentially. So that's kind of where I went with my style. Like, I want to go more South Parky versus like Lion King, like hand drawn stuff like that.
Yeah, it just feels like that whole hand drawn shit is just, it almost feels outdated now because it's just like, and they have like these like little drawing boards that can animate and all this stuff. Yeah. I mean, they've got billions of dollars. It's Disney. But to that point, I want to ask you, Disney, I feel like when I was younger there was a lot of controversy, or like there was a lot of talk about like the producer would always do some type of weird quirk in his videos, whether it was like in Little Mermaid, I think the priest got like a boner or something like that, and like there was all this little weird shit that was going on. Not necessarily weird shit, but is there something you do in all of your videos that people don't know that like you can look for? And if you were to tell me like, all right, watch this scene, and then in the next video you're like, watch right here, it's the same type of shit. Is there something that you consciously try to do in every video, just as like your own entertainment?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think in Lion King, when like Simba falls to the ground or something, like, and all the ash from the the leaves and everything, they spell out sex or something.
Oh, does it? Yeah. See, shit like that. Like, I think there's a whole bunch of little things in those Disney movies that like it is weird. Yeah.
But with me, no, not really. Nothing like weird like that. I'm not gonna like spell out sex.
Not weird, yeah. Like.
Yeah, but no, I know what you're talking about. I guess for me, like, it goes back to like what I was saying with like the when Kyle was high episode, like where he, the oatmeal raisin cookies. Like, people that watch him will get that because they know that like that's one of his favorite foods or whatever, or he talks very highly of it. But people that are new to it are like, why did he pick oatmeal raisin cookies? Or like with the Ted Cruz one, like in the Carly figure, like it's pretty much with me. Like, I like to take every aspect of a segment that he does, and whether it be like an impression he does, or a clip that he plays, or something he mentions about something else. Like, I like to take every aspect that include like an Easter egg and be like, okay, did you watch the segment? Okay, good. Watch this, and now you'll get it. Which is what I recommend people do. Watch the entirety of the segment, and then watch mine. You'll get it, and you'll get the little plays on everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did that too much for the Colin Corin. I'm not too sure, but I try to extract everything from a segment that I have, which is literally just audio, sometimes visual. But
well, I mean, it's just the attention to detail, like you said. I mean, like the fact that you could have chose any cookie, but like that Kyle likes oatmeal raisin, so you picked oatmeal raisin, and whether it's like, I mean, seltzer is a lot bigger, but he knows he likes seltzer, but like you'll do the seltzer, or like you heard the pull my meat out thing and you added that into the segment, which I'm super excited to see. But in the world of comics, well, what have you always been into comics? Was that like since you were a young age you enjoyed comics?
No, I wasn't really a comics guy. I didn't go to the comic shop or anything. I would mostly watch, because there was a lot of superhero cartoons. Like, there was X-Men, there was obviously Spiderman. So I guess that was my introduction to comics and everything. But I didn't really go out and run and I gotta get the next comic or whatever. I would mostly watch shows based around it, because the shows are pretty much homages to the comics. So like real life comics, they take a lot of stories from the comics and things like that, and visualize it in a different way and tell like a long ass story with it. So, but you're big into movies and stuff, right? I always see you tweeting about like Marvel and all the like comic movies. So like, are those interesting to you? I do enjoy them. Yeah, it's it kind of goes back to being exposed to it as a kid. And you're like, oh, watching Spider-Man on the big screen for the first time was pretty huge for me. Like, I remember I was in the theater and I went with my mom and my brother, and I sat down, and my mom literally lost my brother. She's like, Andrew, you gotta help me find him. And I'm like, no, not right now, not right now. Like, I didn't want to get up from it was like such a big deal to me. Like, I want to see this all the way through, even though I knew I could buy it in DVD and shit. But
Yeah.
I was selfish. She found him, obviously.
Okay, good.
She found it eventually. But no, I mean, I think what Marvel's doing is like because nobody knew who the hell Iron Man was. Nobody knows who the hell Thor is or Captain America at the time. It was mostly Spider-Man, and mostly like other heroes. But I think mostly Spider-Man. Everybody knew who he was. So I think they're doing a great job of kind of like introducing characters. Even now, they're introducing like new characters with their new phase after Endgame and things like that. I guess people are kind of trust them. We're like, oh, you introduced Iron Man so well, great. Oh, you're going to introduce Thor next? I don't know who that is, but I'm going to watch it. Oh, this was good too. It's like just a constant cycle of like trust, essentially. Like, we give a shit about these characters. We're going to tell you the story that you want to hear or that you're familiar with. So,
why do you think they have that big of trust from other people? It's almost just like, I feel like me being an outsider to that world, there's been so many Spider-Mans, there's been so many different variations to that shit that it's almost just like, why do they keep getting the benefit of the doubt when they keep coming out with new movies and like all these people lining up to see it, and whether it's good or bad, they're still going to go see it regardless?
Yeah, it's funny because like Ant-Man, for example,
would
be classified as an average movie, but it's still good, but it's average in terms of like Marvel movies, which is like above average for like most movies, or like how superheroes used to be in like the 90s and the 2000s, early 2000s. They were crap, like they were bad. So I guess the appetite is there. Like they just want a good story. They want like these characters to be respected and like kind of portrayed as, you know, what we envision them to. And I think Marvel's doing a great job of that, and especially with like introducing the fact of like a team, like the Avengers and everything was a huge thing. That was like an event.
Yeah.
Like I remember the line for the theater was just like out the door. Like it was crazy. Like the fact that like introduced like Iron Man, then you introduce Thor, then you introduce Captain America, and now you're going to do a movie for the first time. Like the idea of a universe that you built up. Like so you tell the story of Iron Man, give him his time to shine. Then you do Thor, give him his time to shine. Then like, oh, now you're gonna like take that character and then clash him with Thor and like see how they interact and everything. And we know these characters already, so that's the smart part. They're introducing them after they've really like told their story.
Yeah, I think they do a good job of like intertwining all of the different stories, and for them, it allows them to have like a single story of the character, and then, you know, a different series or franchise of like them all together.
Yeah.
Is there a dream comic, you know, character movie that you want to see?
A dream character movie. Well, I'd like to see Spider-Man continue with Disney.
Yeah, so talk about that, because I see everybody tweeting about that. Like I saw you tweet about it. Another kid that I follow on Facebook said something like Sony's fucking up. Or
yeah, so basically it's a very muddy story, but basically Marvel almost went out of business in like the 90s, I think. So they sold off some of their character properties, their movie rights to characters. So in the 90s, they sold, I think it was in the 90s, but they sold off, and if I'm wrong about anything, just correct me in the comments, because I'm not too sure. This is just basis understanding. But, yeah, so they sold the movie rights to Spider-Man to Sony. So Sony owns the movie rights. So they did their own movies. They did Sam Raimi. They did the Andrew Garfield.
Who did the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans?
The Tobey Maguire was the Sam Raimi ones, yeah. The director was
okay.
Sam Raimi. Yeah, Tobey Maguire, and then Andrew Garfield was the next one.
Got it.
And then after that, like, you know, they were seeing that the movies weren't doing too well, so they went to Marvel, like, oh, you have a great universe of Marvel characters. We want to, you know, play in that sandbox, essentially, which Spider-Man wasn't able to do up until recently. So they basically struck a deal, like, okay, Sony will get 95% of the profits, 95% of the profits of the movie. And then Marvel Disney will get like 5%. So that was the deal they originally struck with. But now they're trying to renegotiate where Disney wants 50%. They want 50-50.
Oh.
So it's about...
Oh, so it was Disney that got greedy in the shit. I saw someone like said Sony was being greedy.
Well,
Sony was initially being greedy, asking for 95%, I guess.
I mean, they own the rights to the character.
Yeah.
So they have the bottom say.
True.
But it's about greed. It's about money. Like, it's just like the fans want him to stay in this sandbox. Like, we don't want to see another like shitty Spider-Man movie where we don't want to regress to that.
So you want him to come over to the Marvel world?
Yeah, I want him to stay. No, he is in the Marvel world, but I want him to stay there. I don't want him to do because it goes back to like I don't know if you saw the movie Venom.
No.
Oh, dude, it's so bad, so bad. Like he's a great, interesting character, but the way they portrayed him was just it was like the writing was just so cringy. It was just so terrible.
Who made the Mark Ruffalo Hulk movie?
The Mark Ruffalo? No,
yeah.
Mark Ruffalo was you mean the Edward Norton one, right?
Oh yeah, okay. I thought Ruffalo was the Hulk.
Yeah, Ruffalo, like Edward Norton was that was a Marvel Universe movie. But
okay.
There was like some clash with him in Marvel, so they had to recast him in Avengers, but it's the same character.
Oh, got it.
They just put a new actor. Like, hey, don't worry about this guy. This is the new guy now. Like, just look at this guy. Don't look over there.
That's like when they changed Aunt Viv in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Do you remember that? There was like a light skin. No, there was like a super black Aunt Viv to start on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then just midway through it, they changed to like a light skinned lady, and they were just like,
I never watched Fresh Prince.
Oh man, you're missing out. That's a classic.
I was a big Will Smith fan for his movies back then, but I would like watch clips of it, but I never actually watched Fresh Prince. Actually,
did Will Smith? And maybe I'm confusing with Samuel L. Jackson, but didn't one of them came over to the comic book world as like a guy with a patch on his eye, right?
You talk about Will Smith or
no? I think Samuel L. Jackson probably.
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson. He's basically the founder of the Avengers, who brought them all together, pretty much. Yeah, he's been in a lot of these Marvel movies. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So I mean, comics were never. I always got drawn to Silver Surfer for some reason. I don't know why. I had a T-shirt of his, and I always just liked him.
Yeah.
But the comic worlds, the video game world, Star Wars world, I never really got into all that stuff. I was at the Star Wars convention, which really opened my eyes up to like that world, and it made me appreciate it a lot more. But the movies for me, I don't know. It never really did anything. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, and this is gonna like shock people every time I tell them. Like it's like a thing. Like holy crap! Like I've never seen the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the prequels as a kid, but I never really was exposed to the original trilogy for whatever reason. I guess because I was watching too many cartoons or something. I don't know.
Something I wanted to ask you, and this is going back to the animation a little bit, and you had mentioned it before with South Park starting to get more topical in their episodes, and maybe that's why you were a little bit more interested towards the later years.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, being like a one-man show, keep the information you're doing topical and still get it out where like the information's still relevant?
I guess with that, like I guess I'm appealing to like secular talk fans, really. So like the idea is like with the third animation I did the Hillary Trump thing. So I gave advice to Hillary and Trump, and I wanted that to come out right at the time of the election when it wrapped up, but for whatever reason, like I kicked the can down the road and it came out like a year later. But within that year, like, you know, Kyle had gotten a new studio. We found out who won the election. So I was able to play with that more. So I guess I'm not too worried about being too topical, because I do have an idea for a secular talk animation. I'd like to include you with it, where you guys moderate a 2020 debate.
Oh, I'd love that.
With the
sorry.
candidate, no, it's all right. With the candidates that have specific nicknames, and kind of portray that. So I think that'd be fun. Do I get that out in time this year? Probably not. Do I get that out in time next year? Hopefully. If I don't, it's cool, I guess. Like it's still relevant because it's like so ingrained in our brains with like the election season and everything. So I try not to worry about it too much, really.
I guess that's good. Yeah, I mean, like I'm going down that approach too with the vlogs, and I tell Molly, I was like, man, we got to get this Colorado vlog out. Like we were there 2 months ago, and it's just like, it doesn't matter. Like those same restaurants are still going to be there. Like hopefully, you would hope like Hillary Clinton doesn't like pass away or something like that before you put out your episode. Like something drastic happened that like it wouldn't matter too much anymore.
Well, what's funny is it's funny you mentioned that because the Jeb Bush episode, I did one with Barbara Bush in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so at the time, when I started it, Barbara Bush, she was still with us, but right before I was about to release it, Barbara Bush passed.
Oh.
Which was kind of weird. It was like, Like I didn't know who she was really. Like I knew she was the mother of a Bush. Like I don't know her policies. Like obviously it's probably conservative, but um, it kind of it didn't hit me. But it was like kind of like this is somebody I've been like drawing and animating for weeks now has just passed. I'm like I don't really know how to feel about that, but. I did delay the episode like a week because I didn't want to like put it out because it's it is making fun of Jeb Bush. It's like a roast of Jeb Bush. So I didn't want that to be like out there because I know I don't agree with Jeb Bush on much, but obviously losing your mother is like one of the worst things ever. So that did actually happen in a
that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Something that you haven't done, and maybe you have, and I just haven't seen it. But like you haven't animated Trump yet, have you?
Yeah, he was in the third one where Kyle gives advice to Hillary and Trump.
Oh, so you have made a Trump animated?
Yeah, I made a Trump. Yeah.
Oh, I got to go back and watch that then.
Yeah.
What else am I missing? I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in all the stuff that you're doing. I have a huge interest in the Kyle and Corin. Like I told you last time we spoke, I'd been bugging you for a while on Twitter to make an animated character of me, and I just. For my own selfishness, I just wanted to see what I would look like as an animated character, so it's cool. Is there anybody that you've animated, celebrity-wise, that like you just wanted to see in like a character form?
Or a celebrity I want to do.
Yeah, that too.
Like a politician or a political commentator or something.
Yeah, who's on your radar of people, like on your wish list of people to create?
That's a good question. I have an idea for a Rush Limbaugh one.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That I want to do. An Alex Jones one, surprisingly.
Yeah.
People have been asking about that, but I guess I wouldn't, because I like the idea of kind of portraying these people in different ways. So I have Tommy Lahren. If you guys watch, I think it's like the fifth one.
I remember that.
She's the snowflake queen. So she has like her hair's out like Medusa, and it's just like summoning her snowflakes that have like are sentient and like can protect her safe space and whatnot. So I like the idea of playing around with that. I have an idea for like Alex Jones to make him like a frog, and then like he's slowly turning gay or something from like drinking some water or something, and or like Rush Limbaugh, like I think he was saying something about like a hurricane and like how it's a liberal hoax, and portraying him as like a swirling hurricane of nonsense and things like that. I want to play around that more, and I guess with like Ted Cruz, obviously he's like he's always flailing around and things like that.
You could do a Beto with his hands, and he's sort of like his arms just turn into like an airplane or some weird shit like that.
Or have him as a stork, have him as a being stored or something.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want to play with the 2020 debates I was just mentioning, that idea. Or maybe like obviously Joe Biden would have giant hands, Cloud Butchar would be literally that. So I do want to play around with those ideas and evolve Ted Cruz from like the flailing politician he is to like maybe like the blob monster that people portray him as, like just different ideas that I want to experiment with instead of portraying them as like, oh, this is the human version of whoever.
Yeah. I mean, you see the human version just all the time in like animation form or something like that. But I think that's a cool component to just have them morph into like some type of character, like
who they really are.
Who they really are deep down, yeah.
Yeah, like give him like some kind of arc where like Ted Cruz starts off as the Ted Cruz we know, but then he slowly morphs into the blob monster by X, Y, and Z or whatever the case is. So
yeah, I think that's great. So what's next, like for you? You're finishing up Kyle and Corin animated. That's gonna drop soon. After that, you said you got some more secular talk stuff on the radar.
Yeah.
But so are you going to start balancing like the video gaming and Twitch with the animated? Is that maybe the next move?
Yeah, I brought this up in the live stream a couple of times where I kind of want to like balance that out, where maybe during the week I'll do like a Monday through Thursday live stream where I'm just doing the art stuff, and then maybe on weekends I'll like play a game on Twitch or something, or interact with whoever's in the chat or whatever. So I kind of want to play around with that. But what's next? I guess I do have ideas for secular talk stuff. I do have ideas for another Kyle and Corin actually. That
nice.
Another good idea I think would top the one that I'm about to release. So there's some gaming one I want to do. There's just like a lot of different stuff I want to do. It's funny because like when I first started, like I told you, like I didn't know what to animate pretty much, but now it's like I have all these ideas that I want to do. I guess that has to do with like confidence and everything. Like I'm confident now in my skills, that I can be like, oh, this is what I want to do. now I'm going to do it. Like this idea on the paper, this is going to be a thing. So I guess we'll see. Like I have to find a way to balance it. Maybe I have some artist friends that maybe I could do like, oh, can you do a background for me so I don't have to worry about that so much, and I'll just like worry about the script and animating the characters and everything so I can have a background. So maybe playing around with that. But
yeah, you can do some consulting stuff. I put out that tweet. I need an intro for my videos. So
oh yeah,
you're more than welcome. No.
I have actually when you posted I'm like 2 or 3 ideas came to me where I think it might be cool if we could discuss that later. But
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Something that I asked you last time we spoke, so I guess I sort of knew this, but I want to ask you again. People that have inspired you, whether it's some type of graphic, I don't know, director or like an artist. I know last time you mentioned Gary Vee, but like, what are some videos you're watching outside of Secular Talk that interest you? That's not really. I don't know, who are people that have inspired you, and like what are you listening to? What are some podcasts you're listening to or something?
I guess somebody who inspired me to actually even pursue animation, like for so long, like it was an idea, like I've been saying. So there was this channel, Draw with Jazza. He had a animation tutorial where it's basically laid down like how to do an animation from beginning to end, like how to storyboard it, how to rig the characters, which is essentially like rigging every aspect of like the face and the body, getting ready for animation, things like that, doing backgrounds, exporting it for like YouTube and stuff like that. What are the best settings for that? So that one video kind of, I don't want to say changed my life, but like moved me in like a way to where I am now, like pushed me to like where I am now, where like I don't want to stop. So whereas then I was like, do I want to do this? Like I don't feel confident in my stuff, but like learning how to do it and viewing that kind of like inspired me. But I guess I do listen to, like I mentioned before, I listen to a lot of Gary Vee. I think his message of like pursuing happiness over money is hella important, especially nowadays where it's like you're expected to work like a dead end job in a cubicle for the rest of your life. Where that's not that interesting to me. Like I hope I break out of that that normalcy and pursue this or whatever avenue this takes, this little thing I have going on. So
do you think you'll ever get, I mean, like Monday through Thursday and like do you ever feel like you can get burnt out of doing this graphicking, or like right now you're still you love it so much that like that you'll just enjoy doing it for every single night or something like that?
I guess because I have the job, I come home,
mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it from like the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. So if that were the case, maybe, I mean, I am human, it does happen even with stuff that you love to do.
Yeah.
But right now it's just like, I have time at night, like even after this podcast, I'm going to go live and finish up the Corin for hopefully to be released as like with this chat on Friday. I think you're really
nice. Yeah, Fridays chats go up.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and do that because I want it to go up. I want it to just
Yeah, I think that'll be a nice little collab to go up on both days.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool.
I guess that's the idea as well.
Yeah. No, I mean that's dope. I think we covered a lot. I mean, like, hopefully we got some good stuff in there. I like I told you before, I find it great that we can chat. Like I'm meeting a lot of different people through, my channel, through Secular Talk. People, whether it's just people writing comments, and it helps because it's like you see so much negative stuff going on that like I find a person like you that I've been like following on Twitter for a while and seen your avatar and then now like watching your live streams. I think it's a cool place to connect people, and like something that I had a vision for this channel was to like just talk to normal people, and like I'm sort of to answer. I'm gonna say it right this time, but it's not. Is it Joseph or? Fuck. It's either Joseph. Yeah, I think it's no. It's not Joseph. Damn it. There's I always fuck up his name, and he said you always say Joseph, so I'm gonna say Joseph again, but it's not Joseph. But he asked the question if I'm gonna start interviewing just like regular people, which I don't know celebrities to interview celebrities, but I guess
think like Joshua.
Joshua, god damn it, yes, it's Joshua.
Yeah, I think it was Joshua. Yeah.
Joshua, and I always call him Joseph, and that's why I couldn't remember it. Joshua asked, but like I think this is great to like just hear your story too, because I mean it's just like you're doing something that you're so passionate about, and it caught my interest, and I never thought that I would be interested in other shit outside of my own little bubble, but like seeing how interested you are in your shit is cool, so I think that it's nice that people can hear your story.
Yeah, I think this is the beauty of social media. Like, obviously, there's a lot of negative aspects to it where, you get addicted to it and the dark side of, like, the comment section and stuff like that. But if you embrace it, you find some diamonds in the rough, you know what I mean? Like, I like to go through every single one of my comments and really respond to them, even if it's negative. Like, and kind of learn why it's negative. Because I like to know why. Like, I wish YouTube had a feature where if you dislike a video, you give a little explanation why. Like, I would love to get that feedback. Like, obviously you're going to get trolls be like, I hate this, you suck. Like, okay, great. But
I put a video up and there's like a dislike always right away on it, and I'm just like, you haven't even watched the video. That's just some saltiness.
There's people who are going to be like, I disliked the video today. Like, but it kind of like. Again, it goes back to like you actually took the time to click my video or post a shitty comment and dislike it. Like, that's backwards. Like, there's something wrong with you. There's not something wrong with me. There's something wrong with you where you take the time. Like, I wish I had that time.
That's a good point.
I don't. And you don't have that time, obviously. You have a family now, so.
Yeah.
I guess when you put it in that perspective, like your mind kind of changes with it, and you just keep pumping it out. So
it's also scary though how creative people are, because like when I did the live chat with Molly on Friday, it was my memory is shot today, but it was like this old lady's name, and it was just like Corin
or something. I saw that chat.
What was it?
Mildred or
Mildred? Yeah, it was something like that, and it was just like, Corin, I know what you like. I'm Melissa's mother, and I know what you sent her, or something like that. And I was like. At first, I was like, what the fuck? This is a crazy lady. And then, like, she put, like, I got the pictures. And then, like, Molly's looking at me, and I'm like, did I send some shit? Like, and then everybody was like, she's trolling. And I was like, all right.
Dude, like, think about it. Like, that is a person who, like, I don't know if they're fans or they're trolling, but regardless, they took the time to show that they give a shit about yourself. Like, I had a guy in my chat just, like, say the N-word. I'm like,
oh, that's annoying.
That's a little weird, but I'm just kind of ignore that. Like that's not where I want this to go. And I love the people who are in my chat because they didn't even acknowledge that.
Yeah, nice. Like, your chat is great.
Like, I'm not that big as of yet, but I have like a small little community gathering. But like I like to like tell them like don't like address the negativity. Like, I guess like kill it with kindness in a way, because that's something that I kind of realize.
They feed off of that stuff, and that's what like I try to say. I mean.
Attention.
Yeah, it's attention, and like it's hard to do with Trump because he's our president, but like when he says some dumb shit, he wants you to retweet and say like, don't bring any attention to this, or like this is why he's saying this. It's like he knows what he's doing, and like he's saying this absurd stuff so you can just talk about him. And the more you talk about him, the more relevant he is, and the more relevant he is, the more he's going to be on the top of your mind when you're voting or something like that, It's just when you're at a parade and people are just like, there's a small group of people acting up. It's just like, I do this when I'm driving, and like I think I'm a pretty good driver. But like if I happen to cut somebody off, or like I do something wrong, and granted it's my fault, I fucked up, or if they do something wrong and then we come lane to lane with each other, and they're like all fed up and like cursing, like I'll just give them like a little smile. And I feel like that gets them more mad than like if I were to react the same way that they are.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like, why isn't he mad? Like he's not. This isn't bothering him.
Dude, killing him with kindness is something I learned as a kid. There's a quick something that happened to me as a kid. Like I would get picked on. Like I was a small kid. I was doing that before. I would get picked on a lot. And there was one time where my mom had given me cupcakes to bring to like all like my classmates and like my after school program and stuff like that, teachers. And I remember the one bully, I gave him a cupcake, I'm like, he obviously he knows, like, he was, always on my ass about whatever the case may be. He always bullied me. But I offered him a cupcake. I'm like, would you like a cupcake? And he's like, oh, okay. And then he ate it, and I'm like, oh, these are great. And then after that, he started defending me from other bullies, which is like, that's
what's
how
up.
you do it, man. That's how you do it. Like, you see these rallies where like neo-Nazis and shit, and then you see all these black people, like, obviously, like, they can't stand them, but like, they just go up and give them a hug. Like, give them a hug. Like, that's how you do it, man. You don't punch them in the face. Like, you don't do any of that shit. Like, that makes them victims. You don't 100%. Want to make a fucking Nazi a victim. So.
Exactly. There's like, I mean, like, Kyle has spoken about this story, and like I don't know what the one guy's name is, but he's like he's like that KKK guy, and he was at some event and someone punched him in the face, and it's almost like people were sympathetic to him because he got hit, but it's just like, if that guy was ranting and doing his whole shit, and like you said, just went up to him and was just like, hey man, you mind if I give you a hug? And like, he's saying the most disrespectful, racist ass shit, but if you were just like, can I just give you a quick hug, dude? And he's like, what? Like, it would throw him so off of his game that he just wouldn't know what to do, Yeah.
It would make him rethink, like, his ideology of what he's doing, because I don't think anybody is born evil. Like, it goes like back to like parenting, it goes back to your environment, all things like that. So it's like kind of getting people back to humanity, back to reality, like not thinking like everyone's out to get me or that I'm superior to you or whatever the case may be. That's how you got to do it with life,
100%. Yeah, I think you have a great mindset for that, and a lot of people should look at things that way. It's just like, I mean, just be a good person. Like, I get nervous for my daughter because it's just like, I feel like me and Molly are raising her right and like all this stuff, but then, not to say we're perfect parents, but then there's parents out there that, don't raise their kid right. And it's just like, they're like little silly putties where it's just like, if she's at the park and sees that kid acting up, is she going to act up too? And it's just like, sometimes you can't control other kids or, what other people are going to do. But if you just, teach your kid the right way or, act a certain way, like you act in your chats and you probably act in your job. And when you just go out in regular life, you hope that people follow that lead.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like, you can't, like, your daughter might make a bad decision, but she might not because of your parenting. It's like, really, you got to drill that idea in their head where, like, obviously strangers are, don't go walking around with strangers. Don't do this or that. But that's all you can hope for, that you raise them right and that hopefully ingrained in their brain that, like, whatever the case may be, bad, cigarettes, strangers and all that stuff. So you only hope for the best.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that you'll be a great parent. Like, it would be difficult, like, nowadays. It'll be interesting actually to raise a kid nowadays with like social media and all that. When you have to have the discussion of like, when you're gonna give your kid a cell phone, when you're gonna give them a Facebook page, when you're gonna give them an Instagram, like YouTube. There's a lot of weird YouTube shit with like animations that like.
Well, she already watches Secular Talk animated.
Oh, does she really?
No, she's 18 months. She's.
There's like one or two curses there, so it might not be a good idea. But there are some. There's like a weird dark web aspect to like YouTube where like there's animations that have like the Frozen, Elsa from Frozen and Spiderman, and they're interacting. But for some reason, like Spider-Man's pregnant.
What the fuck?
And then you see like Elsa slashing people. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about that. Like, there was like, I don't know if it was Chinese, but that like it would be just a regular kid animation, and then that scary face would pop up in the middle, and then like start telling kids to like commit these like crazy acts or whatever. Like, it's just like, whoever thinks of these shits needs to just go away. But like, I don't want to put too much of a somber beat on this chat, but I do see over your right shoulder. Is that a PSP on your cabinet over there?
It is a PSP box. It's actually my MP3 still.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's still my MP3. I don't play games on it anymore, but I use that on my MP3 for my car and listen to podcasts and stuff.
Wow, off the PSP, and it still like picks up. So what do you could download onto the PSP?
Yeah, I can like have to connect to the computer and then just drag the music files to it.
Because that's old school. I had a PSP back in the day too, and I remember that's got to be like over 10 years old, right?
Probably more so, yeah.
Yeah, damn. Shout out to the PSP. I think I still have mine. It might be at my house in New York, but I still have my PSP too. I played for a little bit, but then like, I don't know, I outgrew that. My favorite gaming system was the I had a Game Boy Yellow, and I played Pokemon religiously on that shit.
Oh, same, dude. Same.
Religiously. I had the red version, I had the blue version, and then I think there was like a Pikachu yellow version.
Yes, red version. You picked a good one.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like we could have a whole chat on Pokemon itself.
Oh, were you into Pokemon too?
I got into cards, the anime. I would go to like Toys R Us and play the card game and do trades and like, dude, I remember going in like high school. This was like when they were banned, and like if you like my friends would like have cards that I wanted to buy from them and trade, and like I literally had to go to the bathroom, meet my friend. It was like a drug deal.
Yeah, yep.
He was giving me like a Mewtwo card, like you got the 20,
yep.
You got the Mewtwo, give me that Mewtwo.
Yeah.
It's just like you had to do like a drug deal, dude, and you had to get out there, not see, make sure the teachers didn't see it or anything.
Hell yeah.
It was crazy.
It's crazy how the whole Pokemon world like exposed kids to that like trading underground like barter system of like I'll give you I'm a champ, but it's first edition, like. Yeah. And I'll give you some whack holographic for like, and they were like for your Charizard, and they're like, nah, not Charizard. Like I'll give you the Japanese Charizard. You know, like kids had to figure out like what's a good deal, what's a bad deal. So it's like, in a way, there should almost be like some like trading card class or some shit like that, because it's just like we were doing the same shit people were doing on Wall Street, just at like a childish level, you know.
Yeah, it was very toned down level, dude. I still have all my Pokemon cards. It's like over there somewhere. In, like,
same. I have a Pokemon binder with Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur on the cover with all my holographics.
Yeah, same. The holographics were always the first page. Your best ones are the first page.
Yep.
Holographics.
I had a first edition Zapdos, I think it was.
Yeah.
Shit was that was money. And then I went to go see Pokemon in the movie theater, and they gave away like a Mew card or Mewtwo or whatever.
Dude, I feel bad for my parents because I must have made them watch that movie at least 10 times in a row, dude, to get that Ancient Mew card or whatever it is.
Yup.
Like,
damn, man.
It was crazy.
And it was epic. Like, you felt like such a G when you would rip somebody off and get like you got like a good deal out of them.
Dude, I would do that to my brother all the time. I felt bad. Like, I traded like one of his favorite... I remember it was like a Scyther first edition. It was like a grass type, and I traded him like such a shitty deal because he loved that card because it was like first edition. Like that was like when you were a kid, like that first edition little logo was you needed that was like so if you had one of those. He gave me like his holo first edition, and I gave him like a trainer card and a non-holo. And I don't know how, like, I just constantly went up to him, like, you want this, right? And then the next day, you sure you want this? I'll add this to it. And eventually did it, and I felt bad. But like, you keep working the deal, and eventually it goes through. I sold more than him, I guess, man.
Damn. But did you ever play Pogs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you were into Pogs, too?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, good.
I had a Slammer.
Yep. Yeah, of course I remember Slammers.
It was part of like the game, but like it was such a badass Slammer. I wish I could find it. It was like a snake with like an 8-ball in its mouth, and it was like surrounded by like pool balls and stuff. It was so badass.
I think I even might have had that shit. Like,
yeah.
I played in a Pog tournament at FAO Schwartz one year. I don't know if you remember FAO Schwartz, but it was like a toy store in New York City back in the day. Mm-hmm. I think they might have made a revival. They might be back, but they had a huge Pog tournament. And I brought all my Pogs down there, had the Slammers, and like I don't remember how I did, but they had a big tournament. And Pogs were like just a little piece of cardboard that like was just took off.
That's all it was.
People used to have bags like garbage bags of Pogs that like would just be all these logos on them and different designs.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I never went to the tourney scene for Pogs back then. I would play with friends, and it'd be like if I won this game, I would get your Slammer, or I would get like one of your Pogs. Like that was the thing on the line. Yeah,
I'm gonna actually, when we get off the chat, I'm gonna look on eBay just to like see what some of the old Pogs look like, because I remember I think that one with all the like pool balls on them, like the billiards ones.
Yeah, it was a snake with the pool balls. I like if I find it on eBay, I might buy that.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take a look. I'm sure somebody's held on to all their Pogs. I don't know where mine are. Did you ever play Magic the Gathering?
No, I never played that. I played that, like, my brother was into it a couple years ago, and he was into it. And
yeah, I feel like that would be up your alley.
A friend of mine introduced me to it a couple years ago. We played it for a little bit, but I never got, like, super into it when it first came out anyway.
All right, I think we've been chatting for a while. We went off into our Pokemon rant a little bit. I will say that when Ash Ketchum got, like, when I got the bicycle in like whatever version it was either like, and I used to just ride around like a maniac. It was just like it was so much faster than walking, and you were just able to just ride everywhere.
Dude. It was life changing.
The bike was life changing.
Anymore, I can bike everywhere. It's so much better.
It was so great, and then you would just bike all over the place, and then your screen would just randomly like, flash, and you'd get you'd
random
fight.
encounter. Yeah.
Oh man.
Dope, man. And that shit is still around. Like kids are growing up with that now.
Really?
It's kind of crazy that like it's still going.
I never got into like the when the Pokemon craze, like the new one where it's like you can real life play Pokemon and like people are like stopping on the highway to like throw
the
up.
Pokemon Go. I played it a little bit.
Really?
A little bit. I don't play it anymore. But
I feel like
when it first came out, dude, like I was like walking around the beach and people were like literally like, "Oh, do you know where this Pokemon is?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's over there."
They look like crazy people, right? Like I mean, like you probably have you walked into any walls playing Pokemon Go?
No, I was never that. I didn't do it in the car. I'm not.
Yeah.
We went to like graveyards. We went to like
really
stores that were Pokemon centers and everything. It was like Pokemon. It was like Pokemon when we were kids, but like in like a different way.
I know. Yeah, I'm like I think I downloaded it and then like I just couldn't get out of the first opening like screen or something, and I was just like, fuck this, I'm over it. But like I probably would have been okay with it because I travel a good amount and like I go to all these different places. I probably could have. I don't know if there was a beat the game, but done pretty well in the game. But Pokemon was my shit.
Yeah, I think there were Pokemon only exclusive to certain areas in the world. Like I think there's only a Pokemon you can get in Australia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that. I'm not too sure.
I would have like I got a boy who lives in Australia. I would have like gave him my login to like walk around. I'm sure could people have did that or it was like through your cell phone or something.
I think it's through your cell. I don't know if it's like a log or something, but
true.
They don't want you to ruin the experience. They don't want you to cheat.
Yeah, they don't want you to cheat, but they want you to stop in the middle of the highway and throw a Pokeball at a Blastoise that is randomly walking in lane 4. Anything else that you want to add in to the end? I don't know if we've covered hopefully what you thought we were going to cover. If you thought this was okay.
Yeah, no, this was a great chat, man. Like, cool. I just want to say, like, appreciate you guys, shouting me out every time in Corin. Like that means a lot more than like giving any kind of monetary value. Like, there's some people that are in my chat who are like, oh, I want to give you this like $10 or whatever for your work. And I don't have the infrastructure up for that, but like I just tell them like, listen, like just spread the word about my stuff, keep hanging out in the chat, keep contributing. Like that means more to me than like you giving me like any amount of money at this moment in time. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's something I appreciate from you guys, especially Kyle tweeting out all my shit. He pretty much tells me like, yo, you have something out, I'll promote it for you. I'm like, that's awesome, dude. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, he's a big fan. I'm a big fan, and like I hop into your chats, to your live chats, and I appreciate you doing this, man, because you've always been supportive and been super nice. And I mean, I'm lucky to have Kyle as a friend, but like it's just great to support people in any capacity, and I love what you do. I think you're doing a great job. Like your animations are awesome, they're funny, you're very talented. So keep up the awesome work. Hopefully people stayed with us to the end, but tell them your Twitter handle and just like all your shit.
Yeah, you could. I'm mostly active on Twitter. Drizzy_Adrew, ADREW. Drizzy, obviously _Adrew. And then you can see him on YouTube. I think it's youtube.com/Adrew1264 or something like that. Or you could like type in Secular Talk Animated and you'll see all the shit I post and that. So come in the chat. Feel free to give me suggestions. Like we're doing new ones all the time.
Yeah, tell him to change his music.
you can give me music recommendations that Corin will probably hate and things like that. So yeah, feel free to come in the chat. Contribute, leave a comment, leave some constructive criticism. I'm always open to that stuff. So
cool. Yeah. So hopefully Friday we'll have this chat will be up, and then to go pair with it, it'll be like a nice glass of wine and some cheese. The Secular Talk Kyle and Corin will be up on Friday. The chat will be up Friday, so you guys will just be overload of us.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be linked in the description.
Send that to me if you could tell me how to do that. I'll absolutely do that.
Yeah, I'm going to work on it right after this chat. I have a few things to do, and then it should be good to go. Maybe I'll put it up tomorrow, if not Friday in the afternoon, but it should be up the end of this week.
Sweet, thank you, dude. This was really awesome. I'm going to chill, maybe shower, hop into bed. If you're still on your live stream, I'll pop on over there. But thank you very much for doing this, man. This was fun, so thank you.
Cool, man. Appreciate the chat.
All right. I'll talk to you later, kid.
Okay, take it easy.
Peace.